Growing up in a former communist country and very isolated, I must say, when I landed to the United States of America, I was fascinated by many new things, and hairstyling, specifically braiding, was one of them. I finally fulfilled an old wish of mine. Kessa Moore, a stylist with over 20 years of experience, braided my hair. Did I like it? Well, you can discover it now as I bring to you a part of my journey to becoming American and understanding the culture of my adopted country. My beautiful braids story.
I'm doing my hair today. I'm at Enkela Vehbiu hair salon. Braiding hair, it has been something very new to me when I moved to the United States, and I'm finally realizing my dream, having my hair braided. It's a process that should take about 1 hour. Don't know which style. Kessa is going to decide on that.
So the decision can be made either by the client deciding coming in with a picture, or just allowing the stylist to just decide for them. So today you just allowed me to be creative. Yes, so the only instructions was to leave a little out in the back, so that gives me a little leeway.
And how long have you been doing this for, Kessa?
So I have been a stylist for now 23 years. Actually, June of this year will make 24. Yeah, so a little bit professionally, but I kind of started doing hair as a little girl. As a little girl, yes.
Can you tell us about that? How did it start? And
it kind of started, my aunt actually went to hair school, so I grew up in this huge generational house where my grandparents and my aunt and my mom, and so she went to hair school, and I was kind of her model most of the time. All right. And I think just being able to see that all the time, I would play with dolls, and I would braid and cut and color and with crayon or marker with the hair. So it was just kind of something that you learn because your mom or grandmother was braiding your hair. Yes. So for us, at least in our household, braiding or doing the hair was a Saturday event that started in the morning. And it was either between my aunt, it was my great-grandmother, it was my mom, and we would spend time. I'm happy to tilt back just a tad for me. At the time, it didn't seem like a fun event because I'm tender-headed and with tight curls and then pulling through the hair, it just felt a little like a point of punishment. Yeah, so we would sit around and they would shampoo, and it would just kind of be a process that somehow lasted all day. Yeah. So we would go from shampoo and condition, letting it air dry, putting it into sections, and then going back through combing tight, dry hair, and they would either press it or braid it, and depending on whatever style. Usually on a Sunday you wore it kind of pressed. Really short back there still. And then during the week, you actually wore it braided. So at least in my family. Okay. For church, we wanted it straight and silky and curly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has the process changed a lot? Right now we use a lot of product for hair, but how has the whole braiding process changed based on your experience?
I wouldn't say that it has changed a whole lot. It's still kind of a traditional thing that your families are doing within the home, and then now it has just become where it's more of a career. You have women that are starting businesses and they're doing it outside of the home, and they're actually, created a business with it. So now they're adding hair. I think that's probably the biggest difference, is the adding of the hair and not just using your own hair, but...
Is that pretty common right now?
It's pretty common right now. It's been for years, yeah. Braids usually last anywhere from a few weeks, a couple months. It can last.
A couple of months?
Mm-hmm. Wow. But usually if it's just your hair, it's just a few weeks. And so Just the consult would be, what are you looking to have done? How long are you looking it for? What is it for? You know, you have a lot of girls that come in wanting braids for protective styles, just to keep from having to do something to their hair on a daily basis. So if you came in, it would be shampooed, conditioned, and blow dried, unless that's something you've already done, and then we'll start braiding. So.
And for the amount of hair that I have, I understand I'm not doing the full head today, but had I decided to do the whole thing, how long would that take?
Just depending on the style, and depending on the size of the braid, it can take anywhere from an hour to up to 2 hours, depending on what we're doing. But usually about an hour, hour and a half.
Okay. Kesha, I have a question about the style that can last for 2 months. Do you add products at the end of the braiding process? How can you protect the hair for 2 months?
So usually a braiding style that's lasting too much is usually adding hair to that. And so it just depends on the style. So it can be, if it's added micros, so the really tiny small braids, box braids can last up to about 2 months. And the product is added during the braiding service. And so as far as maintenance after that, we're probably doing something more of like some moisture added to the scalp while the braids are in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you can feed your scalp.
Right. So what was it about for you that you were interested in braids?
It looks nice. It looks clean. And one of my colleagues, every September, they would go and celebrate their anniversary in Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
And at the beginning of September, she would put she has long hair. I'm sorry, not very long hair, down to the shoulder. And usually she would braid them and have them styled, and it looks nice. But when she was about to go to that trip, it was the big, long, she added hair and looked so nice. But it has been something new, and I always wanted to experience that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, braiding for us is very traditional. It's just something that we grew up doing. It's part of our culture, coming out of Africa, although I'm not from, my ancestors are, and so it's just something that's been just kind of passed down. And it can represent so many different things, but it's become a very popular style for many people, and actually cross cultures, braiding. I wore braids for many years when I was younger, growing up. Since as an adult, I've been wearing my hair, I've wore it locked for 5 years, and then I let it loose and kind of wore it curly for a while, and I would have it braided a little bit thin. Since then, I've been actually kind of wearing it, I'm relocking it, so traditionally locking it. So it's not necessarily, it's not considered braiding, but just another form of a protective style, allowing my natural curls to be able to kind of grow out.
Okay, so what you're doing is different from locking, right? Braiding is different from locking. And what is the main difference there?
So with braiding, it's something that you can take down. I'm braiding it to the scalp, or I can do it loose, but it's just a temporary style of protecting the hair at that point. Locking it is actually allowing that hair to grow in a casing. So your hair begins to coil and case around itself and mesh together. And so allowing it to grow without having to comb it, without having to, put any tension or anything on it, just kind of letting it grow in its natural state. So I cultivate it by retwisting it at the scalp. I'll do it every 3 weeks or so.
Okay, so what you're wearing right now, that's locking, is that right? Yes. And I'm having braids, is that right? Okay, when you do the braiding and you want it to last for like 2 weeks, let's say, do you get to wash your hair in between?
Usually, so if it was braided not to the scalp and braided more of a loose braid, yes, you can shampoo in between. My clients that if we're adding hair to it, sometimes I suggest an astringent or something, using like a witch hazel and cleansing the scalp. But with yours, like wearing it like this, no, we wouldn't shampoo in between because it's going to cause it to fuzz. So we can leave it up for the few weeks that's needed.
Okay. And since we're here at the shampooing and we're talking about shampooing, how often do you advise the hair to be washed? You know, I have friends that wash every day, every other day, every week. My hair is really dry, so I tend not to use a lot of shampoo.
Okay.
But do you have any advice? What's the rule of thumb?
So rule of thumb is really depends on your habits. So each person is different, and so it can be where someone shampoos every couple of weeks. Where like right now with me locking my hair, I'm shampooing every 3 to 4 weeks. And so I'm cleansing in between with maybe the witch hazel, spraying at my scalp and kind of wiping with the towel any debris that is laying on my scalp. So it really just depends on the habits. If I have clients that are very active and they are in the gym a lot and they're sweating, they're actually rinsing and shampooing their hair a little more than my next client that would. So it really just depends on the activity of the client and their preference. If you are with me, if I shampoo my hair, once I shampoo my hair, I need to retwist it again. So my hair will expand, and I'm not ready to retwist. So for you, it would be like if you shampooed every week, or if you're not using that much shampoo, or you co-wash or something like that, then I would suggest leaving it that week and then taking it down. Yeah.
And I'm reading a lot nowadays, Kesha, that many people are not using shampoo a lot because they think that it's not healthy for their hair, basically. And I understand that there is some truth in what they're saying. I don't use a lot of shampoo myself either. If someone prefers to use shampoo, is there any advice there? I know that there is a chemical that is not good for your hair, and I don't remember the name of that chemical.
So it's the sulfates that are in it. It's the detergent that they're finding. It's not irritating to everyone, but to some people they're finding that they have an irritation to it. And with curly hair, they find that it's causing the hair to be a little more drier, makes it a little more fuzzier, and it keeps from defining the curl. So that's where we kind of come with a lot of the doing a little less shampooing and doing more like a cream rinses or something like that. I advise my clients that you still need to kind of cleanse that scalp. And so even if you are just doing it maybe every other month or so, it needs to kind of do a deep cleanse. But it's not everyone is allergic to it. So if it's not an irritant to you, then it's not, you can still shampoo with it. But the market has changed to where a lot of manufacturers are doing a lot of sulfate-free shampoos, and there's so many other different preservatives and things that are in products that they're finding that people are having allergy to. And so we have this big push for natural, and what it is that it's still within the product. You really can't sell a product that's purely natural without some form of a preservative in it, unless you're making it at home. So there's something still in there that's preserving it. But there are some things that are really harsh that people are finding that they're allergic to. So I am closing these off right up here since we're doing halfway with the rubber band. And that way it will stop them from, because with your hair being a little straighter, it will kind of start opening up. So we got one side done, and now we'll do the other side. The challenge is getting the other side to look and match the first side. Sometimes I will go back and forth, but all right. All right, we are just about done. Are you already peeking over there across the end?
Yes, I am. I'm liking it.
Good.
Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to?
You are. It's too late now. Can't help with the mirrors to see. But you want me to finish it by putting it up? I can put it up, or you want to leave it down?
I don't know.
You don't know? We could look at both ways.
After about 50 minutes, my dream was in front of my eyes.
Oh my God.
So I left a little, just some little sides out. And this is out.
All right.
I liked it. But the night was tough. I couldn't sleep.
I just kind of twisted it until it was done, but she already has a nice curl anyway.
Will I do it again? Maybe, but I will pick summertime. My head was cold.
I love that messy hair is in because I don't like hair all in
Overall,
the same place
we
all the
all
time.
had a great
so we
time
had wore it down,
while
wore it
shooting
up.
my beautiful braids story.